All right, YouTube, what's going on? Another video for you guys today. Today, we're going to be right back on the atheist. This is an interesting conversation because I think a lot of people that do deny Christianity deny it on emotional reasons. Most people that are making decisions on religion are making decisions on emotional reasons. Not that emotions are not a good thing for us to do, but to make a decision on what is true and what's not, it shouldn't be based on emotions. It should be based on evidence. And here's a perfect example of an atheist who has the wrong fact about Christianity and then just makes an emotional decision that he decides is not true altogether, which is why he denies God to begin with. He brings the argument of the spread of Christianity, and because he's Mexican American, and because there's some interesting history when it comes to how Catholicism was spread in Mexico and in other places, therefore he's putting that on the entire history of Christianity. And notice when the conversation goes, and I start to question him on his epistemology behind that, he starts to try to change the topic and get back onto the emotional track, which then ends the conversation abruptly. So I think this is a good conversation for you guys to watch and see how it goes down, because these are people that are in your everyday life that are making decisions either to accept or reject Christianity based on just emotions and not facts. Being able to spot these type of conversations, I think, helps all of us be able to preach the gospel more. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the video. We're almost there with our goal as far as getting monetized. It should be happening very, very soon. Thank you everybody for the support. Don't forget, we are having every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Discord. Discord link is in my bio. We will be doing the Matthew study. It will be tonight on the day that this video drops. So go check it out. Everybody's welcome, 100% free. Just join the Discord and join the call when it happens. If you can't make it because the time zone doesn't work, you're in another part of the world, no worries. I will be uploading those Bible studies right here on the YouTube channel in a special playlist. Other than that, enjoy the video. What's up?
Hey.
What's up? What faith are you?
Agnostic.
You what? Agnostic?
Agnostic, yeah.
Okay. Why are you not Christian?
I think part of it is the story, where it comes from. I'm Mexican American, so the majority of my quote unquote people believe in the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about like religion, how it's spread across the world, the religions, I think of like how it spread. It always seems to be on the back of a sword. And so even though I do respect like Jesus as a historical figure and a spiritual teacher, I do often ask myself if Jesus was God, which I was raised, I would say like Catholic, Christian. My parents didn't really like take it seriously; they just believed in it. I do ask myself, like, if Jesus were God and he was that peaceful and interested in people, why would he protect a chosen few and then move on, complete his mission, and then literally like what 90? I don't know. I'm making a percentage here, but like 90% of the world who didn't hear the word or who wasn't around, who actually came under that religion, ultimately did so under the threat of a sword or gunpowder if we push into the 1500s plus. I just find that hard to believe. And every culture has its own religions and stories. And
brother, you understand that you're just. I'm not saying Christianity was perfect in all of its history. I wouldn't deny that Christianity has some bad moments, right?
Yeah.
But you're isolating just. You're not looking at the whole 2,000 years. If you look at the 2,000 years of Christianity, even when it became significant, which took 3 centuries, none of the Christians were converting because they were being forced. They were actually converting while they're being persecuted to denounce Christianity. And as more people died for their faith, more people believed. And that's how it spread throughout the Roman Empire. They were the ones being persecuted. So
I mean, yes, there was like
why don't you take that into account first? Why don't you?
There was a percentage of people that noticed that, but there was also a huge percentage of people that were their land, their culture was taken over.
But what are you referring to? What are we referring to exactly?
I'm referring to the spread of Christianity.
Right. Which moment in history are you referring to, bro?
just the beginning of its inception through Europe and through just wherever you were, like colonialism.
That's
European
once again that's not true. Christianity spread throughout the empire for the first 3 centuries off of its own persecution. That's why I brought that up. And then it became legal after the Edict of Milan with Constantine, and then Rome adopted it as the official religion, right? That's the 4th century. So what moment in history? By then it was already spread throughout the whole empire. So at what moment are you talking about that they were taking over lands and forcing people to accept Christianity? By the way, you're muted when you're away from TikTok. So I don't know if you're talking right now. If you are, nobody can hear you.
All right, so I'm talking in a general sense here, obviously, like those Roman Empire and then missionary work, etc., and going into like the Americas and.
Okay. Let's stop right there. Hold on. You said the Roman Empire. What about the Roman Empire?
Well, you mentioned Constantine. Right? You mentioned Constantine.
Yes.
So if he didn't have that vision, obviously things would have been different, right? Do you think that Christianity would have been spread if it wasn't with so?
It was already. The reason why he converted is because it already spread, and they were being persecuted. That's my. I don't know if you're listening. This is the 3rd time I'm mentioning this. I don't know if you're actually listening, bro.
No, I am listening. Yeah.
Okay. So once again, I'm going to say it one more time, so we're on the same page. Christianity had spread throughout the empire in the first 3 centuries already. It was already spread all over. They did not spread it by forcing people to accept it, because they were the ones being persecuted.
Okay, I disagree with that. I mean, like, we're talking about, like, you're narrowing it down to 3 centuries. I'm talking about the big picture here.
I understand, brother. I understand. I want to talk about the big picture, but you are saying, brother, dude, Jay, we could talk about the bigger picture, but you brought up right now Constantine. Constantine did not force people to accept Christianity. It was already spread throughout the empire.
Yeah, no, I didn't bring him up. You did, and I only mentioned it because he was a Roman emperor. So
what is that? Okay, so good. So you were recalling back to what I brought up. What does that have to do? What does that have to do with your point? Please elaborate.
Not a great deal for going that far back. I only asked about him because you mentioned him, and I thought to myself, well, he's a Roman emperor. Like, of course, if he suddenly has a vision, whether it's true or false, his view of things is going to have weight on the society.
I don't deny that Constantine's conversion helped, but it didn't do what you're saying. That's my point. It didn't cause people to get forced.
I didn't say that his conversion converted all like Europe. I'm just saying like that.
Okay, bro. So then, okay, good. So then you agree with me. Okay. So then why? Okay. So what are you talking about as far as Rome and converting people by the sword? What are you talking about?
So prior to Christianity, right? Are you telling me that the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, how did they find Jesus?
It was being
just through honest reflection on the spirituality of the world, or did somebody have to bring the sword and colonial ambitions with it?
Not in the first. If we're talking about the first 3 centuries, like when it spread throughout Europe, no, it wasn't by the sword. It was through actual apostles going out and preaching, and the persecution, people witnessing others being martyred.
So, would you agree that most of Europe was pagan for some time before this spread?
Of course.
Okay, so you're saying that all the pagans just witnessed miracles, and that was what led to the advent of Christianity as being the most dominant.
I don't know what every case was for the conversion, but I could tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't the sword, because the Christians were the minority, and they didn't have any physical military power.
The first centuries, but later on
dude, I'm only talking listen, you're bringing up the spread of Christianity throughout Europe. This happened in the first 3 centuries. What are you not understanding, bro?
It spread. Here's what you're not getting. You look at a map, okay? And your question is, why are you not Christian? And I said, Okay. You're talking about Christianity spreading. Very small part of
You're
Palestine.
talking about Christianity spreading. You got the history mixed up, bro.
The question is, why are you not Christian? I'm trying to explain that to you.
Yes, and your information is wrong.
So in other words, Christianity was not spread. You're maintaining.
Oh my God, Jay, there's no way that you have this much little comprehension skills, bro. I'm gonna say it again, bro. I keep, this is about the sixth time. This is about the sixth time I'm gonna say it. Okay, please be quiet. Can you please be quiet so you can comprehend what I'm saying, so we can actually have a conversation?
I'm not gonna respond to what I'm saying. You sound dogmatic.
I'm going to repeat what I'm saying so we can actually have a dialogue. If you can't comprehend what I'm saying, or if you're just playing dumb on purpose because you don't have an argument for it.
It sounds like you're vulnerable and you don't like.
Oh, right. Yeah. So vulnerable right now. I'm shivering right now because I'm the vulnerability right now.
It sounds like your emotions are being a little
dude. Yeah. No. The emotions are coming from the frustration of either, number one, you don't have the mental capacity to have this conversation. Therefore, I'm wasting my time. Or number two, you're playing dumb because what you're doing is, the problem is my information that I'm spewing back to you actually refutes your argument. And because you don't have an answer to it, what you're trying to do is play dumb and ignore it and move on to your argument.
Your point is, because every time I do, you're like, well, in the first 3 seconds.
All right, so Jay, here, can you repeat back what my answer is? Go ahead.
No, because you're not
because you're not listening. That's why you can't repeat it back.
You're not letting me even get a word in edgewise.
Can you repeat back my argument and then I'll let you speak?
Well, it sounds like you're saying that the Christians, early Christians, the first 3 centuries, a lot of the conversion or a lot of the people that accepted it had witnessed people dying for it, or martyrs, or maybe miracles or whatever it was.
And that led to what, according to my argument?
That led to the spread of Christianity. But I'm looking
Where?
Well, I mean, first obviously in the Middle East, and then directed toward Europe.
Thank you. Yes.
But my question to you is, if you think of like the Nordic people, or you think of the Native Americans, the people that are, I guess, would be, a lot of them are converted by now. Are you really saying that they weren't converted by the sword? You're saying that they saw miracles and that's how they converted?
What Native Americans were forced to convert?
Well, I'm 55% Native American, and
so what?
I'm what you would call a Mexican American.
Okay, a Mexican American. Okay, a Native American. Okay.
What do you think the dominant religion of my
Okay,
people
good. All right, good. So I do agree that Cortez, who went to Mexico, he did do some form of, like, he was battling the Aztecs and the Mayans and so forth. He had a lot of wars with them. And I would probably go ahead and say, yeah, for sure. Maybe he did force them to convert to Catholicism. But what other Native Americans were forced? What other Native Americans were forced?
Outside, I mentioned Pizarro in Peru, and
so Simon Bolivar, right, who was the conquistador down there, he fought the Incas in Peru and stuff. I'll give you that. Okay, so we got Hernan Cortez, and then we got Simon Bolivar, right?
And I also know a lot of Nordic people in Europe who are still in touch with their paganism.
Okay, good.
And,
so
you know the history of that part of Europe, and basically wherever Christianity was.
Brother, listen to where I'm going. Listen to where I'm going with this, okay? Listen to where I'm going. We got Peru in South America, the Incas, right? And maybe even go to like Ecuador, maybe Colombia, Venezuela, those areas, right? Then you have Mexico and some Central America, right, with Cortez. So you got Simon Bolivar and Cortez and other conquistadors, right? Probably a span of what, 100 years?
Yeah, but if you consider the amount of people that are not devout Christians, or
I'm not talking. I'll grant that to you. Fine, it made a big impact. But
we're talking about the
Jay, I'm granting all of that to you. Fine, it made a big impact. I'm granting to you that those people. I'm granting to you that those people did do it by the sword. Okay, now let's go to North America. What Native Americans were forced?
Most of them died from disease. Just to be historically
yes, they died by disease. That has nothing to do with forcing people.
watching
Jay,
God's Plan.
dude, like, follow along, bro. Stop changing the topic. Like Cortez giving out blankets that have smallpox to unalive a lot of them have nothing to do with converting people by the sword. Stay on topic, bro. Please stay on topic. So now let's go to North America. What Native Americans in North America were forced to convert by the sword? Unmute your mic.
Majority of them died by disease. We're talking about
Jay. That's a different topic, bro. Stop bringing a red herring. What Native Americans were forced to convert?
The problem of suffering, the problem of evil.
Jay, the conversation is people being converted by the sword. Stop bringing up other topics. What Native Americans were forced by the sword to convert to Catholicism or Protestantism by the sword? Go ahead. In North America.
Well, in North America, there was a smaller indigenous population, much smaller than if you're looking at Central
Good.
South America.
So what Native American tribes were forced to convert to Catholicism and Protestantism? Stop bringing up stuff that I'm not asking you for. Can you just answer the question?
You mean 90% of Native Americans that you don't give a shit about?
Yeah. Okay, Jay.
What?
Yeah. So you don't have an answer. See, you're taking a span of like 2 centuries out of 2,000 years of history and saying, see, Christianity was spread by the sword, because you want to hyper focus in on a span. You know where this was going. You want to hyper focus in on like a couple of centuries of stuff when Christianity was already well spread in the East. What the hell are you talking about? It was even spread out to India, to northern parts of Iraq. It was spread out even to England. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, because I'm Mexican and Cortez came and fought these. Okay, yes, fine. I'll give you Cortez wasn't a great guy. He unalived a lot of them. He raped a lot of the women. They did horrible things. And they had wars, like crazy wars against the Mayans and the Aztecs. He did crazy things. Okay, great. I'll give that to you. That is all of Christianity? No? Like that is your answer? That all this is the defining moment of Christianity? Cortez and Mexico? Bro, you're so narrow-minded. It's crazy.